It's time for the Daily Racing Form weekend preview, and this weekend it is Breeders' Cup weekend, the biggest weekend of all of them in the world of horse racing. So since we are going to be doing this show on Friday, we'll spend our focus on the Saturday Breeders' Cup races. Now, we did record this show a little earlier on in the week, so instead of just talking about those same things over, we just used that recording. So we will play our first segment, the Breeders' Cup Classic horse-by-horse preview. Then in our second segment, we will play the Breeders' Cup Sprint horse-by-horse preview. In our final segment, we'll take a look at the late pick 5 sequence for Saturday. It is myself, Alexa Zepp, and Roberto Rodriguez from DRF and Espanol. So over the next 30 minutes, we'll get you all ready for Breeders' Cup Saturday with our thoughts on the main event, the Breeders' Cup Classic, the Sprint, and we'll give you some thoughts on that late pick 5. Couple things to mention before we send it on over to our previously recorded video. Shop.drf.com. That's where you want to go for those Breeders' Cup packages. Everything you need, past performances, clocker reports, and betting strategies, shop.drf.com. You will also see some graphics on the screen throughout our broadcast. Those are the Timeform US graphics. Now, if you are interested in finding out a little bit more of those, you can actually get a free card today. Go to drf.com/sportsgrid. Use the promo code SGTF24. Let's get on into the Breeders' Cup Classic. Okay, it's time to talk about the main event. The Breeders' Cup Classic is going to be race number 8 on Saturday, and I actually kind of like what they've done. They put it in the middle of the card, and what's nice about that is it's actually the ending leg of the early pick 5. It starts the late pick 5. So if you want to be right about one race on Saturday, this is the race that you want to be right about, because it's the middle of all of those big multi-exotic wagers. Let's talk about the Breeders' Cup Classic, and let's talk about the field for the Breeders' Cup Classic. What's so cool about this group, it's international. Yeah. We have so many really good horses internationally, and it starts out with Forever Young. I gotta say, I'd be surprised if he's 6-1. I think he's going to take a lot of money on there. I think he's 6-1 on the morning line. I wouldn't be shocked if he's more like 3-1, 7-2 in that range. And you maybe have 2 or 3 horses that are kind of in that 3-1, 7-2 range vying for favoritism. But this horse has done almost nothing wrong. He's 6 for 7. His only loss came when he was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby, when Sierra Leone was leaning in on him, and he was probably best that day. And he got his prep race out of the way, which I really love. He had some time off from May to October, shows up at the beginning of October, wins the Japan Dirt Classic. I like him a lot in here. I think he's pretty versatile. This is a legitimate horse. The number 2 is Highland Falls. Highland Falls was ridden a little differently last time out. Flavian Pratt was very aggressive with him, and it resulted in the career best effort, the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup win for Highland Falls. So it's a horse who always has talent, and he put it together in a big way last time out. So let's get to Alexa. You talk about City of Troy in numbers 3 through 5.
Yeah, City of Troy is the favorite, and I just want to we say this is the big one. I mean, there's $7 million on the line for this race. So this is the big one indeed. And City of Troy is the morning line favorite at 5-2 odds. You know, he's only ever lost one race. He's coming here for Aidan O'Brien, coming off of 3 Group 1 wins in Europe. He's an extremely tactical horse. If you read through his comment lines, you'll see how he's steadied, he's been in difficult positions, and he just responds comfortably every time. So he's no joke. He's definitely the one to beat, in my opinion, in here. Number 4, Mixto, 30-1 morning line odds. This horse I don't think really fits. He's 2 for 14 in his life. He did win the Grade 1 Pacific Classic last out, but that I don't think is going to be comparable to today's level
kind of a soft
of
Pacific
competition.
Classic.
It really was. So, you know, he's a California-based runner who I don't think is going to be able to hang with the best in the world. But number 5, Senor Buscador, also a long shot at 30-1 odds. Almost a $13 million winner so far, who won the Saudi Cup in February. However, he's had 3 races since then and has had like a little bit of deteriorating form each time. So I am not sure I'm ready to put my faith in him today.
He travels about as much as Berto does, though. Derma Sotogake and Ushba Tesoro, the next 2, Roberto, these are really talented horses, and they're kind of coming in different ways. Like, Derma Sotogake was the classic runner-up last year, but Ushba Tesoro this year is in a little bit better form.
Yeah, definitely. But when you see Derma Sotogake, you say that he finished second behind Wire Barrio, but maybe he's not the same horse that he was last year.
Agree.
Regarding number 7, Ushba Tesoro, He finished second, remember, in the two richest races on dirt in the world. Saudi Cup, Dubai World Cup. He's one, I would say, he's one of the Japanese horses. Hopes for this weekend. And also he looked great in the mornings. And the question is, will him and Sierra Leone get the pace that they need? But if he get it, talking about Ushba Tesoro, he could become the horse and the richest horse in earning.
And he's kind of flying under the radar a little bit too.
He has produced $60 million, over $60 million.
Because he was the buzz horse last year coming into the Breeders' Cup. He was only 7-2 in that race, and he kind of got a little bit lost in the race. Like, I think he just got outrun. I love that he's already got that race under him now, and now he's a little more acclimated to the U.S. style and to the North American style.
Regarding number 8, Pyrenees, I know Cherie DeVault, she's having a fantastic year.
On fire.
But this is a whole different group. This is a group of horses. Now, Fearness, the number 9, is a whole different game. He's looking great. And one thing about Fearness is Pletcher loves him to run when he's rested, when he's well rested. It's kind of a small horse compared with the rest of the other horses here. So that time between the Travers and now he put some weight, which is looking good. It's Johnny Velasquez. I think it's a great post position for him. And now he learned how to run, like kind of following the pace instead of him being the pace.
And he proved a lot of people wrong this year in that he proved he can put 2 wins together and run 2 big races back to back. He proved he can get 1.25 miles, the distance of the Classic. Those are questions we didn't have. We had to ask about him.
We did an interview. I did an interview with Johnny Velasquez in Kentucky Downs, and Johnny told. That's what Johnny told us. They say, I was telling everybody he doesn't need to run in the lead. He can follow the lead. He can sit and wait and then pass it. Well, the last 2 races, I think he proved that.
We talked about Pyrenees. We talked about Fierceness. It'd be so cool to see, like, Fierceness, Forever Young, City of Troy, if they all showed up with their best efforts. I don't know who would be the best, like who has the highest ceiling of them, who's going to take to the track or get the right trip, but all of them with their A game would be just really tough to beat in here. A couple of prices that are sort of fun. Tapit Trice, if you're looking for a huge price in the bottom of your exotics, this is a horse who was a good 3-year-old, and this year has won 2 of 3, was really good in his first start off the bench, might have regressed a little bit in the Jockey Club. I have him in the bottom of exotics. I'd be okay throwing him in some of your multis and at least in exactas, tries, and supers. Sierra Leone's kind of funny because the reputation of Sierra Leone is sort of like he never wins, but you actually look at him, he still improves on speed figures in every race.
Exactly.
He's only 3 for 8, and he's only 0 for his last 4. He's never even been beaten more than 2 lengths. So I think he gets kind of knocked a little more than,
love him.
what he
I've
is on
always
paper.
loved
Morning line is too high on him.
The morning line, I mean, that's getting, 10 to 1? Is that what we're getting
because the thing we know with him, he's always going to come closing. He will always come rolling. We got to get a little...
Maybe time for payback.
Right? The big one that he turns the tables on everybody when it sets up for him. Newgate was coming off of his career best effort. That was when 3rd in the California Crown last time out. And then next, he's the marathoner who's stepping up and trying to face the absolute best. Let's quickly get into selections here. Berto?
It's that point in the broadcast where we're got the music going.
Listen, the only thing...
So good! So good!
There you go. So I think this year is going to be in the Classic a 3-year-old superfecta. I would go 3, 11, 1, 9.
I think it's a lot about the 3-year-olds too. How about for you, Alexa?
Well, I want to mention one more that we missed, which is next. Okay, this is the 14 horse and is extremely consistent. Has had 7 straight wins. I love this horse. His best figures are when he's asked at a higher level. So he really rises to the occasion. He wants the lead. His margins of win in his last 6 races have been like 20 lengths, 25 lengths, 11 lengths. So I really like that. My top selections in here are City of Troy, Fierceness, and Next, followed by Sierra Leone.
Forever Young for me, the one I put on top, and I think City of Troy is pretty good. We have Sierra Leone, we have Tapit Trice underneath. It's break time, it's party time. If you're in the paddock, the music is going, it's crazy out here at Del Mar. When we return, more Breeders' Cup analysis. Don't go anywhere.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us here, folks. Our 3-hour journey, our marathon, is coming close to an end. We have one more race to preview, and then we'll put the finishing touches on it with the Pick 5. So we are going to be seeing some really fast horses right here. Yep. This is the Breeders' Cup Sprint, which is going to go as race number 10. And as expected, Roberto, in a race like this, there's a lot of speed, a lot of fast horses.
And we start with speed.
One of them, right?
Number 1, Ray Torren. This horse is won 3 in a row with higher Bayer speed figure, 104 twice. Speed from the rail. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Number 2, Gun Pilot. This one has good late speed. And the only thing is, as Steven Asmussen combined with Christian Torres in the last 3 months, they do 5%. They have won 440, something like that. He has been terrible. So it is time for to step up and try to do something. Federal Judge, I love this horse number 3. It's not because Aaron Judge. It's because it's Federal Judge. It's because it's Ira Ortiz Jr., Brad Cox. And it seems interesting to me that this horse was trained by Rodolphe Brissett, who also have Milliken for the same owners. Windstar Farm, Sienna Farm. We'll see what something is going to happen with these 2 horses. It's going to be interesting. Nakatomi number 4 ran fantastic last time at Keeneland, considering no horse was closing that weekend, and he was able to close behind Federal Judge, but against pretty much everything. Now he's going to get the pace. He's going to be closer, and I think he's a horse that you have to look out for him.
I think you have, are you the next? Or I'm going 5 through 8, right? I'm distracted because I'm singing like in the loving you whether times are good or bad or happy or sad. Let's get into the number 5 in here. So Don Frankie is one of...
Did you hear that? He just said the body weight of Don Frankie is 1,500 pounds?
Yes.
Wow.
He's a monster.
He's a monster horse.
I think all of the Japanese runners in here are pretty live because they may get the trip. Like horses like Don Frankie could be sitting, and we've seen this horse on the dirt against top level company. This horse was second in the Golden Shaheen a little earlier on this year. Ben Tornado, who I respect quite a bit, is a grade 2 winner, but this is way tougher than what he's been facing, and he has to face older and a lot of other early speed in here. So that concerns me a bit. Metamax is another one that could get a nice setup from off the pace. I'm looking for some of those off the pace horses because of the presence of horses like Straight No Chaser, the 8, who can flat fly. We know that the 1, Raging Torrent, is fast. We know that Federal Judge is fast. We know that Ben Tornado is fast. You put all those horses together, they are going to be moving. And we didn't even mention 2 of the horses that you're going to mention towards the outside who are really fast.
Everybody's fast in here, but the number 9 Remake is another Japanese horse. Beat Skelly 3 back, but lost to Don Frankie and Nakatomi 2 back in the Golden Shaheen. You know, he's a superstar in Japan, but, you know, whenever he's stepped up to face Group 1 company, he can't quite pull it off, and has just recently lost to stronger players in here, so not going to be on any of my tickets. But the number 10 is a different story. Mulligan, 7-2 odds. Flavian Pratt will be aboard. Like most in here who will want the lead, but also has proven to be able to handle rating in the past. So I think likely he can sit off of Skelly and Straight No Tracer and try to pass them in the later stages. He's been doing that lately, going 7 furlongs, so I like his odds of not conceding and tiring here in this.
Fit on the cutback, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
You think he's going to be able to take the lead from that post?
No, I think he can rate a little bit because I think he's rated before and can handle it. But, you know, he's had those 4 straight wins, including the Grade 1 Forgo, and I just think he seems more tactical than a lot of the other speedsters in here. And
they're kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah, and in a race like this where there's so much pace, being a tactical horse is going to mean a lot. And then finally, the far outside, number 11, Skelly for Steven Asmussen, 8-1 morning line odds. I like this one quite a bit as well. I think either he or the number 8, Straight No Chaser, will grab the lead. I like him on the outside, considering how much time they do have before the turn to get in that leading position. He'll have a lot of his pace to the inside, which is better than having it to your outside in a race like this. And out of everybody in here, I do think he has the best chance to wire the field. I would expect him to be in the top 3, even if he were to get caught at the end. I'd still expect him to hit the board.
So we went through each horse in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's get to selections for race number 10. We'll start with you, Roberto. Who do you have on top here?
Looking for a very long shot here. Ben Tornado.
Nice.
Number 6.
Okay.
They're 80-1.
I saw that on the pick ticket.
Love it.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Big prices.
Yeah.
Got him.
I don't think he's going to be on the lead.
You want him to sit. And he has shown he can sit a little bit.
I don't think he's going to be on the lead. I think he's going to be sending 4th, 5th, and probably try to take the lead when they turn for home.
These are the kinds of conversations that everybody has, too, when you're sitting around with your friends, talking a little trash about what's the horse going to do, right? I've got this one. No, you're going to be wrong. And what's great in racing and in sports,
I think
we always will find out, right?
We'll find out. His connection, we're looking for a really good post position, and I think they get it. So that now continue.
Gives them some options. Exactly. They have some options there.
I have to include Nakatomi. I think it is what it is. He's the one that he's probably going to end as the favorite.
Get a great trip. Should come closing in here. There's a lot of speed to run at. Let's hand it over to you, Alexa.
Yeah, I have Mulligan on top. I just really think with the tactical speed that he has and the ability to sit off a little bit will be really valuable in here. And then Skelly after that. I love the 8-1 odds on Skelly, and then Nakatomi as well and Federal Judge.
So I'm going to put the 9 Remake on top. And we keep talking about the Japanese horses, how they've come over with so many live horses. And to me, it's horses like this that makes sense because Remake has faced top company on the dirt. He's a legitimate dirt sprinter. He was in the Riyadh Dirt Sprint, finishing behind Elite Power and Gunite last year when he was 3rd. Then he won the Korea Sprint. He was in the Golden Shaheen at Maidan and was only beaten a length that day. And then he came back this year and was in the Korea Sprint. He won recently after a little bit of a disappointing performance in the Golden Shaheen, but he had time off and he came off the bench and got that prep race out of the way. So I think he was able to shake off any rust there.
People's favorite. Look at his odds in the last 5 races.
He's just been freaky good. And he beat a horse named Anarchist, who's actually a U.S.-based sprinter. That is a graded stakes horse that would have been a long shot in here, but is actually a really nice horse. So I put the 9 on top of the 10. Mulligan, the 3 Federal Judge, who's really fast. And then Don Frankie's another fun horse from Japan that could get a really nice trip. So we got you finished with each of our race previews, all 14 of them. But we're not done yet. We're going to put a big bow on everything in our final segment. We're going to go through the late pick 5 sequence for Saturday. Roberto and Alexa have put together a pick 5 ticket that's going to start with the Breeders' Cup Classic, race number 8, and it'll go races 8 through 12. So when we return from this quick break, we'll get you all set up. We'll say goodbye. We'll remind you where you can get all of the DRF Breeders' Cup information, but don't go anywhere. The important final segment coming up next. We'll talk pick 5 in just a moment.
he will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes.
Now you're going to take on the road, one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
So this is the late pick 5 that will start with the Breeders' Cup Classic. That's going to start in race number 8 on Saturday. It will end with the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile race 12. So races 8 through 12. Alexa and Roberto put the tickets together. And you see what I did? I make them put the tickets together. That way, if they don't hit, nobody blames me. Exactly. It's just all them.
Oh, great.
But you know what?
Hey, when they win,
they get all the credit. So
That's
I will
right.
say, it goes both ways. And you know what? I want to give you guys both a lot of credit because you've done a fantastic job over these last few hours. So go ahead, Alexa, set us all up.
All right, well, it starts, again, like we said, with the Breeders' Cup Classic, and we've gone over this race twice, so we're not going to deep dive it again, but we have the 3 City of Troy, the 9 Fierceness, and the 14 Next as our picks. And the second leg is race 9, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. We have 3 in here. We're going to go with the number 2, Full Count Felicia, 12-1 odds, so get a little bit of a price in here. Contender after winning that EP Taylor at Woodbine and beating Moira, like we were both there that day. He was wearing the same shirt that day. But, you know, this is a good setup for her in this race with being the pace setter in here without a lot of pace. And then Warlike Goddess as well, strongest closer in the field, likely the one to beat, 7-year-old mare who's run in this race multiple times, I think 3 years now. And Bill Mott just knows how to have her in peak form.
Yeah, I think we have the 3 also in this one.
The 3 as well.
All right, Cinderella's Dream. You know, between her and Didia, I decided to put this one because I mean it's Charlie Appleby. His numbers speak for himself, and I think she's gonna run great. So.
Yeah. The third leg of the pick 5 is a race 10 Breeders' Cup Sprint. We're using 3 in here: the 6, 10, and 11. Roberto, tell us about the first 2.
The first 6 and the 10. My long shot.
Your long shot.
I looked
at when he sent me his picks. I was like, really? We're gonna? But you know what? I will never talk someone off of a 30-1.
Right?
Never.
I remember when I say the same thing about Carabel, and people react the same way, and look at what happened with Carabel. So maybe this will be my this year Carabel.
I'll talk you off a favorite, but never off a horse like that.
No, never.
I'll pick I was going to say, I'll pick at you if you're like going to eat the chalk and it's going to be a short price.
Exactly.
But a big price, you always take that swing, my friend.
And I think in Mulligan, you have to include it. I mean, he's the year the Flavian Pratt he's having, I think he can close his Eclipse Award this weekend.
He's an up-and-coming sprinter, too, and I think, as you pointed out, of all the speed horses, he's the most likely that could sit off the pace because he's drawn to the outside, too, so that could really help him.
Yep. We'll also use number 11, Skelly, 8-1 odds. Probably will be the leaders on the outside post with all that pace to the inside. Not a bad spot to be.
As you're talking, they're playing Isn't She Lovely?
I am lovely. Thank you.
They're playing it for you.
Oh,
that's amazing.
That's so nice of you. All right, well, hopefully we're lovely enough to win this pick 5. Race 11 is the Breeders' Cup Mile. We're using 2 in here, the 7 and the 12. Recap the 7 for us.
Fora Fortuna, 3 great Group 1 in a row, and I think she's going to be huge. She's going to run huge this Saturday. Fora Fortuna, remember, my top pick on this race.
His girl, loves it. And then Carl Spackler, the number 12, is the other one in here from Chad Brown, who's a powerhouse. I said earlier, I think the best combination of both form and connections in this race has won 70% of her lifetime starts and has a rising form. And finally, race 12, the last race, wrapping up a Breeders' Cup Saturday, is the Dirt Mile. And we're going to use 4 in here, spread out a little bit. The 1, 8, 9, and 14. Roberto, tell us about the 1 and the 9.
Saudi Crown, I think he recovers in the last race. He shows that, and I think he deserves a chance. It's Florent Giroux. It is practice, and the number 9, like I say, this is the horse that I like the most the whole weekend. Domestic product. The way that he looks, how he has been running post position. He has experience in 4 turns. Remember the mile Hira Del Mar. They need 2 turns, So I think it's everything fit for him.
Yep, and the last 2 on the ticket are the number 8 post-time trainer Brittany Russell. Her husband Sheldon Russell will be riding, so it's a family affair. A versatile horse, 9 for 13 in his life, a value play with some proven consistency. And then number 14, Skippy Longstocking, 4-1 odds, 7 wins at graded stakes level with tactical speed and an improving pattern. So that is the late pick 5 on Breeders' Cup.
That is going to do it for us here. We really appreciate all of you hanging out with us, and we hope we led you in the right direction a few times throughout Friday and Saturday. A couple thank yous to give out first. Our producers, Mike and Rich, they were doing an incredible job over here with a lot of different variables happening. We're live. We're on track. Awesome job from them. Audrey, the PA, helping us out. Thank you so much. Tyler and Will, who jumped on earlier with us, and Roberto and Alexa. Appreciate all the hard work that you did.
And Gino for leading the way here.
Thank you. Remember, folks, shop.drf.com. That's the place to go. You can get those Breeders' Cup packages, and we also have the free Timeform US cards for all those SportsGrid viewers out there. Use that promo code SGTF24. Good luck in the Breeders' Cup.
He will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes.
Now you're going to take on the road one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Sports.